Alright, welcome folks. So in this video we are going to be talking about using zeros to write function rules, and more specifically we're going to be using zeros to find quadratic functions. So in order to do that, first we want to remember how to factor. Alright, so let's say that our original function was 2x squared plus 5x minus 3. Let's say that was our original function. Okay. If our original function was 2x squared minus 5 or plus 5x minus 3, we would want to factor this. So when we're factoring this, we need to come up with two numbers that multiply to be 2 times negative 3, which in this case is 2 times negative 3 is negative 6. And then we want to come up with two numbers that add to be positive 5. So both of these numbers that we come up with have to add up to 6 and have to multiply to be negative 6, have to add to be positive 5. Take a couple seconds to see if you can figure out what those are. Okay, welcome back. Hopefully you were able to come up with positive 6 and negative 1. Those are the two numbers that we are multiplying to be negative 6 and adding to be positive 5. So we can take 5x and split that into 2x squared plus, now instead of 5x, now we're going to have 2x squared plus 6x minus x minus 3. When we take a look at these two, we notice that we want to factor these two terms. So 2x squared and 6x both have a 2 and an x in common. And we factor that out, that's going to leave us with x plus 3. Negative x and negative 3 have a negative 1 in common. So negative 1 times x plus 3. Now if we take a look at this term, as well as this term, these two have x plus 3 in common. We factor that out, and we're left with 2x minus 1. Okay? And now, if we were trying to solve this equation, trying to solve this and find the zeros, we would set all these equations equal to 0. So now, at the end here, we have something times something else that equals 0. And we know that one of these two things has to end up equaling 0 itself. So we're not sure which one, so we have to check both of them. So we set both of them, x plus 3 equals 0, and 2x minus 1 equals 0. So we're going to solve this guy and by subtracting 3 from both sides. And we're going to get x equals negative 3. And for this guy, when we subtract this, or when we solve this, we're going to get subtract or add 1 to both sides. Add 1. Add 1. So we get 2x equals 1. X equals 1/2 when we divide both sides by 2. So if we're factoring to try and solve this quadratic, circle the there we go. Thank you. We get that x equals negative 3 and x equals 1/2. So for today, if we are now building a system of equations, if we're building a quadratic, we're going to start with the answers. We're going to know where our graph crosses the x-axis, but now we're going to want to work, instead of going from the equation down, we're going to want to start it from the solutions and work our way back up to the top. Okay? So let's take a look and see what would happen if that was the case for this one. So let's make a little divider, and let's change our color. This looks fun. All right. So now let's say that we know that x equals 3. X equals 3, and we know that x equals 1/2. Okay. If we know that those two are solutions for our system, or for our quadratic, I'm not quite sure why I keep trying to say system, but if we know that these are the solutions for our quadratic equation, then we want to build our quadratic equation by going backwards. So if we know that these were the answers, the step before we got our answers for our factoring, we had something equals 0. We had some stuff equals 0. So we're going to want to take the stuff that's on the opposite side from the x's and move it back over. So we're going to subtract 3 from both sides. Subtract 3 from both, or excuse me. So subtract 3 from both sides. We get that x minus 3 equals 0. And on this one, we're going to multiply both sides by 2 to get 2x equals 1. Then we're going to subtract 1 from both sides. We had negative 3. Whoops. We're going to add 3, x plus 3. There we go. Then we're going to subtract 1 from both sides. 2x minus 1 equals 0. Okay? So now that we have these, we are going to, after we had the equals 0 stuff, before that, we had both of those terms multiplied by each other to equal 0. So let's go ahead and take this guy here, multiply it by this guy here. So x plus 3 times 2x minus 1. And we're going to say that those equal 0 still. So now, when we distribute, we're going to distribute x to 2x and x to negative 1. X to 2x and x to negative 1. So then, it's going to be x times 2x is 2x squared. X times negative 1 is negative x. Then we can take and distribute the positive 3 over to the 2x and positive 3 over to the negative 1. So positive 3 times 2x is positive 6x. Positive 3 times negative 1 is negative 3. And this is all going to equal 0. So now, once we have this, if we combine like terms, we're going to add these two middle terms together and get 2x squared plus 5x minus 3 equals 0. And this is our quadratic that has these as solutions. And if you take a look over here, ta-da, is what we had over here. Okay? So I'm going to give you one more. Give you a chance to practice this on your own. Be sure to use this idea. And let's see, what do we want to use? What equation do we want to use? So let's do this. Using this same process, I want you to come up with a standard form equation that has x equals 2 and x equals negative 1 as its solutions. All right? Take a couple seconds, pause the video, try this on your own, and then come back and we'll talk through the answers. All right, welcome back. Hopefully you got something that looks like this. Hopefully your final answer had something like this: x squared minus x minus 2. And the way we got there, again, we're working backwards. So from our answers where we had x equals something and x equals something, we want to get back to a point where we had some stuff equals 0. So we're going to move all the stuff over to the other side, subtracting 2 over here, adding 1 over here. So we have x minus 2 and x plus 1. Before we split things up and set them equal to 0, they were multiplied by each other. So we went ahead and multiplied these two by each other, x minus 2 times x plus 1. Once we had this, we needed to distribute. So before we got to these two factors, we undistributed by factoring to get these. So let's go ahead and redistribute. So x times x gave us x squared. X times 1 gave us x. Negative 2 times x gave us negative 2x. And negative 2 times 1 gave us negative 2. So then, from here, we combine like terms. We unsplit up this middle term. So combining like terms, x squared stays the same. Positive x minus 2x's gave us negative 1x. And negative 2 plus nothing else stays negative 2. So this would be a quadratic function in standard form with zeros at negative 2 and negative 1. Okay? Feel free to check these on your calculator. Remember, type this guy into the y equals part, and you'll be able to see pretty easily that it crosses at 2 and -1. All right, that's all I have for you today. Your assignment is on Google Classroom, so go ahead and find that, and I will see you all tomorrow or Monday, whenever our next video is. Until next time, have a great one. See you later.